Social media enables you to expand your breadth, to expand your impact, and expand your business. It gives you access to an entirely new global audience that, believe it or not, is exactly what you need in order to get to that next level, and or to make those initial sales to actually start things off. The more people you reach online, the more impact you're going to have, the more money you're going to make, the more success you're going to experience. Hey there, my loves. Welcome back to my channel and CPTV, the place for current and aspiring entrepreneurs who want the processes, systems, tips, and tools to start and grow their businesses so that they can ultimately achieve the financial freedom, the decision-making freedom, and the lifestyle freedom that comes from entrepreneurship. If you like that, make sure that you subscribe because that sounds good. Like me, also hit that notification and share because every Tuesday and every Friday, I'm going to be bringing it to you step by step and tips and tools wise to be able to help you get to that next level in your business or in your dreams from side hustle to freedom. So today we are actually talking about social media. The number one question that I get a lot, especially from starting entrepreneurs or from local businesses who want to kind of branch out into that online marketing world is, how do I really build a good audience on social media? And so I'm going to talk to you about what I would say are my 5 steps to growing your audience on social media. And the reason why I say there are 5 is because I think originally in my world, there may have been 10, but they really do boil down to these 5 things that I've been able to do in order to grow my audience, my business, my customers, all by using social media. It goes beyond just the personal. So let's dive in and let's get to work. Now, first of all, let's talk about social media and how complicated it really can be for business owners. Most of us have been using social media probably for some time on a personal basis, right? So we sit there, we scroll, we do all of those things we might like, we might comment, we might share, but for personal reasons, it kind of functions very well in that perspective. Business reasons, it's a whole nother world. And it really does require a strategy and for you to be very intentional in your efforts. And it can almost feel like a whole second job. So let's get started with step number 1. You must develop an audience growth mindset. And what I mean is your whole purpose for having social media as a business is to grow your audience. And that's going to include doing a lot of different things in order to do so. On a personal level, that may not be your goal, right? Your goal isn't necessarily to get the most friends or to get the most likes. Well, you know, for some people that might be, but usually on social media, it's just to be social and see how your friends are doing, see what your longtime family is doing that you haven't talked to in a long time. But as a business, it really is strategic. And there are a couple things you got to make sure that you're paying attention to. You have to first accept that social media activity is no longer optional as a business. And I can't tell you how many people that I work with or that I've coached that actually say to me, well, I'm not really good with social media, or I don't even have a Facebook page, or I don't even go on social media. And I'm looking at them like, what you talking about?
What you talking about, Willis?
Because it doesn't even make sense anymore. You cannot be successful as an entrepreneur in marketing your business or driving anything in your business if you don't have social media presence and don't get yourself acclimated and absorb the idea that you actually are going to have social media and be present on social media in order to be successful. It's become kind of the standard piece of your business infrastructure. It's right up there with like your website, right? So a lot of people know that when you first start a business, it's essential. You got to have a website because as soon as someone tells you, they're going to Google you, right? They're going to go to www.yourbusinessname.com. Well, it is the exact same thing for social media. If you are a business and you tell people you have a business, they are going to go looking for you on various platforms. Now, if you're not on a certain platform, it's not going to necessarily startle them. But if you are on no platforms, they are automatically going to assume that you're not serious, you're not professional, and probably not give you any business. So you have to ultimately have that growth mindset, be present, be active, and be very strategic. And get ready to give away a bunch of stuff for free. So that brings me to step 2. Step 2 is that you have to know your audience. Now, this is so confusing for a lot of people, and I actually get really in depth into this topic in a whole nother video, and actually in one of my online courses where I really dive into how to understand your customer avatar and knowing them in and out. But I'm going to say it here, and I'll probably hear me say it a million other times in a million other videos. You have to know your customer avatar in and out. There's going to be specific information that you're going to put out there that's going to attract a specific person. And if you have a goal of selling a particular product or service, and you know exactly down to the minute details of who you're trying to sell that to, then the social media platform that they're on is going to be easy for you to find. The copy that you put in your posts is going to be easy for you to produce. The pictures and the visuals that you use or the videos that you put out, they're going to be easy for you to be able to put together. And ultimately, they're going to do a very good job collectively at attracting that customer to you and attracting that audience for you. So you've got to know your customer in and out, and that includes knowing which platform they hang out on. I've got some great CP impact tips that I'd like to make sure you're aware of right now. And that is the top B2C platforms are Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So that's the platforms that if you are a B2C service provider or business owner, that's where you're going to find your people. And ultimately, you notice the order that I put them in, Facebook is still king in that B2C area. And then followed by Instagram now, which actually took over Twitter. And then you've got your Twitter and your YouTube and your LinkedIn. Now, if you are B2B, you are going to be looking at LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube as your top 3. Now, obviously, billions of people are on Facebook. So yes, the business owner is probably going to be on Facebook, but you're not going to necessarily have the same impact as you would on those first 3, because this is kind of where people hang out. Now, I want to be honest with you, everybody's hanging out on Facebook, unless you're kind of in a different generation. There's kind of a generational gap when it comes to Facebook sometimes. But for a business, you really do need to be present on Facebook, present, I believe, also on LinkedIn, and then also kind of weigh what other types of platforms you want to use. But a big part of knowing your customer is knowing which platform they're on and being able to establish your social media presence on those platforms. Now, guess what? I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm actually going to give you an amazing tool. It's actually an infographic with some tips on how to maximize your audience growth in every single platform that I just mentioned for you. And you can download it by clicking the link in the description below this video. All you got to do is click on it. You'll go out to my website and you'll actually be able to get that download. And it's going to break down for you by platform exactly some tips to grow your audience. So make sure that you check it out, because it is going to be extremely helpful for you in this journey to grow your audience on social media. Another great thing that you should actually be looking at when I'm talking about knowing your audience and growing your audience and ultimately knowing your customer is checking out what your competitors are doing on social media as well. So spend some time going out into those search boxes, putting in who you perceive to be a competitor of yours, finding out what their audience is saying, reading the comments, getting to know what your customers want, how they're feeling about the way that your competitors are doing it, and to make sure that there's actually a competitive piece out there. Because a lot of people say, I want to start something where there's no competitors. And I always say that's not a good idea, because if nobody else is doing it, then it probably isn't going to be successful for you either. If you actually have a competitor that's doing well in a market that you're thinking about doing, then that means that there is a societal need and you too can be successful. So get to know what your competitors are doing out there as well, because you might get some great ideas, you might get some great tips, and you're also definitely going to know what their weaknesses are so that you can overcome them and have a higher chance of attracting and bringing and growing your audience on those social media platforms. Now, step number 3, once you've actually figured out who your customer is and really gotten to know them, is attracting that ideal customer. Now, just because you know who they are and you've actually set up a social media page doesn't mean that your ideal customer is going to automatically come to you. Who is going to automatically come to you? Your friends and your family. Now, you may have some ideal customers in that population of folks. Absolutely. But most likely, they're going to come to you because they have a personal connection to you. They admire you. They love you. They want to support you. But you want your social media audience to really be surrounding, like I said, that ideal customer. And so how do you attract them? Well, it's all about content. You have to curate irresistible, valuable content that is relevant to that ideal customer. And not based off of your assumptions of what you think is relevant to them, but actually in your research, what you find is truly relevant to them, what they find valuable, and what's actually touching on those pain points that you've discovered. And a lot of people don't like to hear this from me, but you've got to give them that content for free. Yeah, I said it, for free. Give, right? You got to get them off of social media once you give them that free contact and into your email list, which is ultimately critical. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute in step 3. But you really want to make sure that you are giving people something good so that you can establish that know, like, and that trust. But most importantly, have that impact. And trust me, when you focus on giving of your talent and of your skill and of your genius zone, naturally you are rewarded with the gift of customers and sales and revenue. So give everything that you can, and your audience will find you and will follow. So step number 4, you need to engage and nurture the relationships that you have with your audience before you sell anything to them. It's like courting, right? You wouldn't necessarily meet someone on day 1 and ask them out on day 2 and then propose marriage on day 3. Would you? I didn't think so, right? No, you're going to meet someone, you may ask them out, you're going to date for a while, you're going to get to know each other, you're going to talk on the phone, you're going to do all that stuff, and then you're going to pop the question. And that's exactly how your relationship with your audience should develop. You ultimately have to make sure that once you attract them on social media, you get them off of social media through an opt-in or through some type of free giveaway or something very valuable that they need and that they want. You get them into your email list and you continue to nurture the relationship. You have to show up every single day for your audience. In your email list, for instance, make sure that you're giving them exclusive tips and tools, that you're giving them access to real advice from you, or maybe direct access to you. Like if you join my email list, you will actually get email newsletters, you'll get out of the box tips and tools, you'll know in advance when things are coming, and sometimes you actually get to work directly with me in that capacity. But you've also got to make sure that you plan out your social media content so that you can be consistent with it and show up for them every single day. A lot of people are not consistent with their social media or with their content delivery strategy, and that lack of consistency affects your credibility with that audience that you're working with. In essence, think about it. Do you want to have a relationship or develop a relationship with someone that you feel like you can't count on? No. And that's exactly what your audience feels when you sporadically give them things or sporadically go out of your way to help them out. So you want to make sure that you're nurturing and that you're planning things out and that you really want to build a community amongst your fans. Bring people together, turn your community into loyal fans because they will become enthusiastic brand ambassadors for you. And that's really the reward for sharing your gift for free, but ultimately in nurturing and developing that relationship. And remember, dating and talking a while before you pop the question. That's really the most important step, I think, in this entire process. And you've got to make sure that you manage it, that you plan it out, and that you do it and execute well. And step number 5 in how to build your audience using social media is to optimize, review, and refine. When I say optimize, I mean try some advanced tactics to continue to grow to your audience or continue to engage your audience once you have found a niche and a good way to kind of move things forward. Once you realize that you are good with the number of followers that you're growing by, the audience, the engagement that you have, the questions that you're getting, the likes and the loves and the shares. Once you're satisfied with that, try some out-of-the-box advanced things. And there's a lot of them out there, and maybe we'll get into the specifics of what those look like in a whole nother video. But I would definitely say you want to now optimize that engaged audience and loyal followers that you've been building. Now, when I talk about review, I mean looking at your analytics, analyzing what the data is telling you, and ultimately then refining what you need to refine based upon that data. A lot of times people kind of get in this rut and they continue to do the same thing over and over and over without even looking at the results. And that's counterintuitive and counterproductive. You ultimately want to make sure that you are measuring, and all of the analytics on these social platforms are amazing. You will get such good data if you look at it. YouTube's are amazing. It will tell you exactly which videos are doing well, exactly what parts of your videos are doing well, exactly who's clicking, when they're clicking, what they like and what they don't like. And Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn will do all of the same stuff. So you really do have to measure your project. So your progress in itself is going to be dependent upon the changes that you're able to make. And a good successful entrepreneur is always able to pivot and redirect when things aren't necessarily looking the greatest, because it's not going to always work out perfect. As a matter of fact, it's pretty much going to keep you on your toes as you move throughout your entrepreneurial journey, and measurement is going to be such a critical piece of that. So you want to make sure that you are constantly measuring that audience, what they like and what they don't like, and then using the information and the analytics that you have in order to make refinements on what you're putting out there from a content perspective, so that you can continue to grow and build that audience on your social media for your business. Now, with all of that being said, I want to remind you that you are going to want to grab this infographic. It is a link down in the bottom in the description. You can go ahead and click on it and it will be yours. And I have broken it down in this infographic, some tips to use in order to grow and engage your audience on every single platform. Obviously, I couldn't just pick one because I don't know what your platform is or what your audience looks like. So I decided to give you all of them, because trust me, while my recommendation is that you start on one social media platform and master it and grow and then move to the next, you're going to use this infographic for years to come. Because if you pick Facebook to start and then 2 years from now you want to branch out into Instagram, then it's still going to be relevant and still going to be able to help you out. So make sure that you grab that opt-in and that download below. And I just want to leave you with, no matter what your niche is, every single business needs to have a presence on social media. I know I started this video out by saying that. I am concluding this video with saying that, because that's how important it is. Social media enables you to expand your breadth, to expand your impact, and expand your business. It gives you access to an entirely new global audience that, believe it or not, is exactly what you need in order to get to that next level, and or to make those initial sales to actually start things off. The more people you reach online, the more impact you're going to have, the more money you're going to make, the more success you're going to experience, and the less headaches you're going to have. And ultimately, your social presence is going to be critical in the development of your business. And so growing your audience and growing your fan base, utilizing these amazing marketing tools that we have access to nowadays, is going to be critical for success as an entrepreneur. So if you like this, once again, please smash that like button for me. Why don't you just go ahead and put a yes CP down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure you subscribe before leaving. Make sure you hit that notification bell so that you get all of the information. And until we come together again, my loves, I love you and I will see you soon. Mwah!